Hello my friends, 4 years of the full-scale aggression of Russia against Ukraine, and this maniac doesn't want to stop. Moreover, now he comes out with some of the escalation plan. Putin says about a nuclear escalation, which is coming from Ukraine. Today I woke up, I checked out Russian official media sources, Russian Telegram channels from military bloggers, and I also watched this Putin's address where he says that reports have already appeared in the media about their attempts, there it means Ukrainian, French and UK, on intentions to use some kind of nuclear components in this war. So they proclaim that UK and France are up to supply nuclear weapons for Ukraine. Tactical nukes. Putin says about it Russian intelligence, Peskov, Kremlin spokesman, Russian propaganda, everyone from the Russian side, it's the news number one today for them. That's the most stupid conspiracy I heard from the Russian side. Not even a dirty bomb, not even this some sort of the attack on the Putin headquarters that Russia claimed was conducted by Ukrainian drones, I guess 2 months ago, and American side absolutely didn't believe in that. Donald Trump person, like, what are you trying to tell us here? And now Brits and French should support Ukraine with nukes? You know, back in 2022, then there was a successful Ukrainian counteroffensive in Kharkiv region, later on in Kherson. Shoigu started to scream about nuclear bomb, dirty bomb that Ukraine may make. But there is some certain logic because Ukraine has those nuclear power stations, so technically maybe it is possible in one or other way. But for allies to support Ukraine with nuclear weapons, they cannot even supply towers to Ukraine. They cannot supply more fighter jets whatsoever. With every sort of the military support, every step, there is struggle after struggle. But no, they will send us nukes. Yeah, of course, everyone believes in that. This is beyond stupidity. And Medvedev also threatens everyone as usual, alcoholic Medvedev, but we shouldn't underestimate his statements, because what he says is actually what Putin wants to say in this harsh manner, but at the same time he's not willing to, so Medvedev is this bully voice of Putin. So here we have translation. France and the United Kingdom plans to transfer nuclear weapons to Ukraine. There will be no doubt that such development of events, Russia would have to use any means, including non-strategic nuclear weapons, against targets in Ukraine that pose a threat to our country. So looks like false flag. And if necessary, Russia will do the same against the supplier countries that become accomplices in a nuclear conflict with Russia. So the threat. By the way, Zelensky stated that it is already a third world war. He mentioned that, I guess, 2 days ago, that Russia started it. You know, this guy, Zhenya Prigozhin, back in 2023, before going to Moscow, said that Russia is crazy nuts. This management, political one, military, that they might use nukes against their own cities, like, for example, Belgorod. He said he wouldn't be surprised. There was the interview published. He was also forecasting the Ukrainian counterattack, which later on happened in Kursk region. Well, he also promised it in Belgorod region, but Ukraine did it in Kupiansk. Actually, there were lots of the things which Prigozhin forecasted, and later on they became our reality. So the question is whether Putin is that kind of the psycho to implement this false flag operation. I mean, to strike some of the city in Russia with tactical nuclear warhead and proclaim that, oh, it was Ukraine. Those were Brits and French guys who supplied those warheads to Ukraine. Could it be like that? Well, at least we heard about it all the day from the Russian officials and Russian propaganda. Also, Putin says that Ukraine plans explosions to be carried out at the bottom of the Black Sea to target Turkish Stream and Blue Stream of the Russian Federation, a similar operation to cut the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, which was conducted allegedly by several of the Ukrainian divers from the sailboat. My friends, just a message for you, please press like to this video, because it helps me a lot. It helps this channel to boost in YouTube algorithms, and also subscribe for the channel. It is for free subscriptions. It's not like Netflix subscription or whatsoever. Just subscribe. It will cost you absolutely nothing, but it really helps my channel a lot. helps tremendously. But if you really want to support this channel in financial way, there is always the link for Patreon, always there. Thank you, my Patreon supporters, for making this content possible, and also members of the channel. You're just awesome. You're fantastic. And because of your support, we're already half a year, I think, without integrations on the channel. Integrations sometimes could be annoying. Nevertheless, I selected and select with whom I work, and I still have some of the obligations with one team. So there will be a couple of the integrations this month and probably the next one, since I have long-term contract, so I have to do it. And sorry for that, but just occasionally it will be. But because of your support, just occasionally. It's not in every of my videos, even though I have lots of the proposals for integrations, but I don't need it. I want to make the content okay for you. So thank you guys for what you do for this community. Let's continue. A UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer already commented this bullshit from Putin about supplements of the nuclear warheads. He says that it's nonsense and UK doesn't have plans to allocate its nukes to Ukraine. It's logical because that would put Britain under direct fire from Russia in case of the nuclear escalation from the Ukrainian side. Well, in general, I think that Ukraine should have nuclear weapons. After all, it gave those up for some sort of the Budapest Memorandum. Yes, it was a biggest failure of Ukraine, I would say, but it is understandable that our allies would never ever supply nukes to Ukraine in the current state. At least, and there is the hot war between Ukraine and Russia, no one would risk own nuclear security. But as you might see, Russia came out with some of the stupid ideas. They try to escalate, try to accuse Ukraine, and at the same time, it all looks like a false flag operation that Russia may plan, Russian FSB. And that is also the reason why Russia is blocking social media and Telegram whatsoever. By the way, we have some of the interesting news about Pavel Durov, owner of Telegram, and his social media. I'm going to tell about it a little later. What I think in general that Putin is looking for some of the excuse, casus belli you may call it, during the war, to escalate to the full-scale mobilization. He understands that with the current number of the volunteers who joined the Russian army, he cannot sustain this war for extensive period of time. The campaign to mobilize youngsters from universities, colleges mainly failed. No one wants to join Russian army voluntarily. But Putin doesn't want to stop this war. He wants Russian army to propel forward, and for that, he needs lots of the resources, potentially even millions, if we speak about the long-term perspective of this war. And I personally think that this war will continue for a long time, because Ukraine is not willing to surrender. Ukraine basically has two options: to surrender and to continue to fight, and Russia doesn't want to stop this war. They still have working economy. It's declining, but it will not happen this year or not in the coming couple of years, maybe 3-4 years, we'll see. But Russia still is capable to sustain itself in this worst scenario. But they need to announce a new mobilization. Putin already passed this Rubicon in 2022, and I think he will do it once again. He will not stop this war. If there is the choice to mobilize Russian men or to stop or freeze the war, he would mobilize Russian men. It's understandable. That is how he thinks, and we see this rhetorics of escalation from him every day. And yes, about Telegram and Pavel Durov in particular, Russia has opened a criminal case against me for aiding terrorism. Each day the authorities fabricate new pretexts to restrict Russians' access to Telegram as they seek to suppress the right to privacy and free speech. A sad spectacle of a state afraid of its own people. Oh, Durov, wow, so you finally say that Russia, maybe you'll next time say something about Putin, yeah? I thought that he would again accuse France. Yeah, I changed my opinion about Durov because he interfered to some of the election campaigns of the European Union countries, supporting, by the way, pro-Russian candidates. It was during Moldova elections, during elections in Romania, and I'm sure that he will post something in support of Orban right before elections in Hungary. We'll see if I'm correct with my forecast, but Pavel Durov, he's like this small copy, clone, homuncule of Elon Musk. He thinks the same, he acts the same, copy-paste, just smaller, less $1 billion. The criminal case was opened against Durov and his media messenger, Telegram. It automatically goes to the basket of extremism and support of terrorism thing. And according to the Russian legislation, Telegram should not be used in this case to collect any sort of the funds, money, which potentially might go through this platform, which means that all of the volunteer collection funds, they will be stopped because Russians are still using Telegram for that purpose. Yes, with VPN already, but they collect funds. They have their own groups, military channels, but now Russia itself restricts this feature. So I'm saying that Russia is definitely preparing for something really outstanding. Some escalation, as I told you, maybe mobilization. There will be some of the new step, and Russians should not obtain the information about it online from internet. Russian political and military command, they understand that it harms their military, so they sacrifice all of those volunteers for something, for, as they think, profit for themselves, for Russians not to get the information. I think we should expect something in the coming months, and the fact that it was done so abruptly, that Russia cuts, smashes the connection. They tried to do it in a soft way before for a couple of years, but now it's like, no, we're gonna cut it completely. Well, it tells a lot. Definitely something will happen in 2026, whether it's one more special operation or, as I told you again, continue to tell in this video, possible mobilization. Maybe it will happen. Oh guys, an absolute unexpected situation about Messenger Max. I told you that there are some of the security breaches in this Max system, in Max Messenger. So Russia understands that, Russian military. That's why they forbid their own soldiers to use Messenger Max on the front lines. Before they say, oh, you'll have alternate, but they found out that for Ukraine it's a piece of cake to break into this messenger, and they say themselves that it's vulnerable. But Russians, you install it, Not the soldiers, please, but regular Russian citizens, go for it. This is the very nice messenger for you, but not for the soldiers. No. They should use radio or what they use usually nowadays. I think nothing they use. Alright, and here's why Russia has so many losses. This video was shared yesterday by Ukrainians. This is the defense line. You see, trench, wall, dragon teeth, barbed wire, again trench, again wall, again barbed wire, and then one more trench, one more wall, barbed wire. This is a very huge, wide defense line. So at least 3 of the trenches, 3 of the walls, lots of the wires, even infantry is unable to penetrate it. They are forced to go through those roads as this car goes. But then Ukraine leaves the area, the road is being kaboomed by Ukrainian gliding aviation bombs, or usually Ukraine mines the road with the help of the anti-tank TM-62 mines. But Russians still have to take this way out, because there is no chance they may penetrate this kind of the huge obstacle. There is nothing they can do. Even with engineering equipment, it will take them days to dig through it, and Ukraine is capable to concentrate the fire precisely at specific spot, lots of the drones, artillery, everything, to ambush Russians, their convoys, infantry attacks, everything. And it's not just a single defense line. For example, after Pokrovsk, there are 4 of those. Just imagine 4 of those huge lines. And it doesn't matter how many people Russia may mobilize in this case, because if Ukraine has enough drones, enough artillery shells, Ukraine may dismantle them. 5 vehicles, 10 vehicles, 50 vehicles, doesn't really matter. Ukraine just needs those military resources and concentrate the fire at the proper place at the proper time. Alright, what's about the Ukrainian counterattack in the southern regions of Ukraine, Zaporizhia and Dnipropetrovsk Oblast? Well, here we have some of the perspective, February the 7th, 14th and 22nd. It is quite successful counteroffensive. Ukraine has liberated roughly 300 square kilometers of the territory. You may see it in blue color over here near Hulai Pole, and mostly from the northern side, Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, and the situation for the Russian army, well, it's not good. They are retreating from multiple of the settlements, and Russian Z channels confirm about terrible situation with communication, supplies, everything. This is happening at the 5th year already of the full-scale aggression of Russia against Ukraine. So is Russia reaching the goals of the special military operation? Absolutely not. Alright, this is the Russian military map from Rybar channel. You may see Ukraine still counterattacks. This is Zaporizhia direction. Zaporizhia city is behind my image. And here we have the close-up image. Ukraine has multiple of the attack vectors as Russian state Plavny were liberated by Ukraine before, but later on Russia performed a counterattack, so Ukraine lost control over Plavny, but again it's the Russian map. They may tell this information, but what we see that this group of the Russian army, it is in a trouble, because Ukraine has the presence all around. But what we see that even Russians recognize that Ukraine goes on successful counterattack in Zaporizhia Oblast, in the southern area of it close to Dnieper River and also in the eastern part. Right, Russians continue to look for alternates for Starlink systems. They put those Wi-Fi bridges, units on the towers. It may work for some of the range, not very extended, but Ukraine spots everything of that and kaputs. Mostly, as you may see, with the help of the FPV drones. Is there someone working? Yeah, probably. That's why I will not show you this video till the very end. Look at how many antennas are out there to multiple of the directions. Well, the good thing that there are not many towers like that on the front lines and behind the front lines, so Ukrainians may easily find them and annihilate. Right, what we have here are the strikes on the Russian logistics. For example, this is Zaporizhia Oblast, the place where Ukraine is now on counteroffensive. Well, this strike is happening further behind the front lines, just not to let Russia to send more reinforcements directly to the zero line. So the bridge is gone, Russians cannot use it any longer. The gap is being created. So no transport, no motorcycles, no Nivas may penetrate. Maybe like in a speed movie, they're gonna put the ramp or like in GTA game, yeah, and throw themselves to the other side of the gap, but usually it doesn't happen like that. After all, it's not a Hollywood, it's a reality, and Russians do not have Rambos or something. Usually, even if we trust Hollywood movies, Russians have the most of the losses, and here Hollywood is actually correct. Alright, here we have a satellite image of a burning Russian oil pumping station, Druzhba 1 at Kaleikino, that was hit yesterday. Quite successful strike, as you might see. Not just a single oil tank is burning, but also another one and another one behind this cloud. The fire is absolutely crazy huge. This image was taken right after the strike and later on it spread around. The sensitive equipment of the station also was touched by the fire and by blast explosion, so for sure Russia will have to spend several months to make this facility working once again. Now Russia's oil export is disturbed dramatically. At least 30% of the entire Russian oil Russia cannot send for export any longer to Hungary, Slovakia, to some of the ports of Russia. This is a very sensitive facility for Russia and it was disabled. Here you may see the fire after it spread a little, huge, absolutely enormous. The cloud went by at least 100 miles away from this place, following the wind. Russians try to use helicopters, but they do not help. It's like trying to eliminate volcano eruption. Well guys, it's all I want to say for today. Tomorrow, new update, more news. Thank you so much for supporting the channel with your likes, subscriptions, with your support and Patreon membership of the channel. You're just awesome. So I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.